All right, so the last time I demoed, I think we were at the point where both of the images had been cut out. Then the next step is to size them appropriately. So I think I'm going to put this bird's head on this frog. So I need to click between the two pictures. And if you notice, I'm trying to click and move this frog and I can't get a hold of it. That's because over here on the layers panel, it's locked. If you click onto those dots on the left-hand side, you can unlock it, and that will let you adjust any layer. So I'm going to make this frog just a little bit smaller so that I can see around it, and click on my bird and put it where I want it to be over the frog. It doesn't have to be the exact perfect size and place yet, but I do want it to be pretty good. Then we're going to use this same mask tool that looks like the scissors and start erasing the different parts of the picture that we don't want to see. So I'm going to get the brush tool, and I can start by erasing the parts of the bird that I know I don't want. If I erase a part that I don't mean to, I can either hold Control and press Z to go backwards, or I can always flip back to this Add to Mask, and I can add parts back in. You know, I'm not going to want this part down here. Now I can see a little bit better what size my bird is and what size my frog is. I can get the Arrange tool. At the top left, it looks like an arrow. And I can resize and position this a little bit better for what I want my final picture to be, now that some of that extra part of the picture is out of the way. Then I'm going to flip back to my scissors tool. I'm going to actually change this opacity up here to be very low, so that every time I'm clicking to either add in or erase, it's only going to erase a little bit of it. So here, I'll zoom in on this part. So as I'm doing this, it's only taking away 18% right now of that picture. Instead of if this opacity was all the way up, it would erase the entire thing. So I'm going to set this opacity down. It doesn't have to be exactly at 20 or 30%, but some low number that's under 50. And then I'm going to slowly work on erasing this, but so that it fades into the other picture. Instead of there being a drastic line where one picture meets the other picture, I want these to kind of fade into each other. I can change the size of my brush still. Like maybe this line that's going up the frog, I want it to go up a little bit further and see that through the bird. This part up at the top, maybe I'll change my opacity back up to 100% because I'm going to follow the line that goes with the frog. And then I can see up here the part of the frog that I don't want. I need to erase. So I'm going to click back over to this layer of the frog on the layers panel and erase the parts of the frog that I don't want to see. So I started by erasing the parts of the bird that I didn't want to see on my picture, and then I erased the parts of the frog. I think I can go back to the bird now and continue working on just set this opacity down really low and try to get a gradual transition between this bird picture and my frog picture. Once you have your basic animal done, then I would suggest playing with the colors of these to make my first animal match up my second animal. With this example, it's not quite as important because both of the animals are kind of green toned, but especially if you have animals that are very different in color, you might want to change one of them to be a similar color to the other so that it doesn't look like they're two separate pictures, but it's starting to look like it's actually one hybrid animal. The easiest way to change the colors is going to be to go up to Adjustments and click on Color Balance. Then whichever picture you have selected over here is the one you're going to be changing. And you can use these sliders and it will change the colors in whichever picture you have selected. There's also these three different ranges that you're changing the colors in. So if you want to change mostly the dark areas of your picture, you're going to be changing the shadows. Let's say I want it to be a little bit more green. Then I can click to the middle tones. That's going to be in the middle, so not the really bright areas, not the really dark areas. Maybe I want that to be a little bit more green. And then the highlights is going to be the really light areas of your picture changing. Again, if your two images are similar in color, this is probably less important. But if you are combining two different animals that are very different in color, you're definitely going to want to use this color balance tool. Down at the bottom left of this tool, you can click and hold, and it will show you what the original one was and then what you're changing it to. Are there any questions so far? All right, I am going to stop the demo with that. I think that's enough for you to get through today. If you get the color balance all figured out, you can experiment with these different adjustment layers. The vibrance is going to be how bright or how dull something is. The hue and saturation, the saturation is going to be how bright or how dull something is. But you can experiment with those to get your animal looking like everything flows together.